Hey there, Crown Crew, welcome back to our channel. It's your host, Crown, here with another round of heartwarming, surprising, and downright unbelievable stories that you won't want to miss. Today we're diving into tales that will make you smile, think, and maybe even shake your head in disbelief. So grab your favorite snack, get comfy, and let's jump right into our first story. You're in for a treat today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more amazing content. Let's get started. A few years back when I worked retail, I worked for a large video game retailer. Often we had young kids come in to buy games with saved pocket money. When quiet, I always encouraged them to count it out. I gave them my staff discount on pre-end games if they counted themselves. My manager knew and loved it as it helped our reputation and always brought customers in, and had the highest positive customer feedback score in the country. So one day, the store is empty and a young girl comes in to buy a game, maybe 9 or so. Let's call her Cindy. I had seen Cindy before and from talking to her mom knew she struggled with counting. Most likely had dyscalculia in retrospect. She told me she had saved all her pocket money to buy a game that she and her big sister could play together. So I told her if she helps me to count, because numbers sometimes confuse me, I could help save her some money to put towards a new game. Mom chimed in saying that money and some extra from Mom could buy the two girls snacks. Mom popped off to buy some snacks while we started counting. She squealed with joy and started counting it with me. It was mostly ones and twos, so it didn't take too long to pile up. As we are doing this, a lady, let's call her Karen, comes in, grabs the latest Call of Duty game, and stands in line tapping her foot and huffing. She was there for a minute or so while I counted with a little girl before rudely saying, "You're not paid to teach dumb children how to count. Now hurry up." Cindy looked crestfallen, and I told the lady I would be with her as soon as I was finished helping my assistant count her. Karen started huffing and stomping again. My manager was at lunch, so it was only me as a staff. Karen had been in line for 2 minutes by now before spouting the good old, "I'm a very busy housewife. I have important things to do. Not that a simple checkout boy would understand." Cindy apologized and said that she could wait for Karen if she was important. I was a calm smile that belied my anger. I told Karen we would be almost done and she would be served soon. I finished counting with Cindy and gave her the old for helping me departing with count and doing it so well, you now only have to pay cost minus 20%, which made her super happy. She stepped aside looking for other games to save up for and waited for her mom. Karen then stomped forward, throwing the Call of Duty case on the counter with a fistful of 5s and 10s and a bunch of loose coins. I smiled and started to count it very slowly. After my second time losing count and starting over, Karen started to call me an R-word dumb jerk and asked how many chromosomes I had. I apologized sweetly before starting again. After 5 minutes of counting, Karen got angrier and proclaimed through gritted teeth, 72. I counted it so I get my 20% off as well. I had to apologize to her but highlighted the game was actually $90 as I pointed to the price tag. She pointed to Cindy saying, "If a dumb brat who can count to 20 gets it, then I do too." So I started recounting her money to see if it adds to 90. Cindy left at this point as her mom was outside. Karen started spilling vitriol at this point. Throwing down a 20, snatched the sealed copy of the game from the counter and left, departing with a classic, "I know the store owner, you'll be fired for being a jerk. We were all company owned, no franchises." She did call the head office. I found out that the area manager checked the security footage of the incident. Karen got a lifetime ban. Area manager has a son with Down syndrome, so her insults to me rubbed him the wrong way. He also saw how I served Cindy and recommended me for an assistant manager role. As an even bigger bonus, Cindy bought me a Kit Kat as she thought I deserved snacks for trying my best with counting. So it's exam season and I'm in the extra care group. This group requires a bit of a boosty during an exam. And for me, I require a laptop and alone space. I have a few psychological issues and my hands are incredibly shaky constantly. So I use a laptop for all of my exams rather than handwriting it. I have been since year 9 and I'm currently year 13. One major issue with me is I can't think straight unless I talk out loud. I can do this in a hushed whisper, but it's why I have to be alone. I am seated at the back of a large hall with my computer far away from everyone else, so I can freely explain my thoughts to myself while tapping away. Before I get on with the story, I should explain that Mr. M is a high-end teacher with 2 students in his school. Neither are important for the story. Mr. M prioritized those students heavily and puts them in the best classes whenever he could. The classes I was in, they always got the top marks and were always winners in some sort of contest. I, being the quiet-minded kid who focused much more on daydreaming about Hulk fantasies, didn't care too much about these brats. I just kept on keeping on. Well, until today. I was in my history exam quietly tapping away about Stalinism and how Alexander II screwed everything up by trying to make it more modern, and I was also whispering to myself as I did it, telling myself what to write as I typed. But I felt something, a very sharp tap. I looked up to see Mr. M glaring at me sharply. I didn't understand what I did wrong, so went back to silently tapping. Struggling much more as I'm still very anxious about my thinking issue. Another hard tap, I turned back to him and he hissed some sort of nonsense about me cheating. I remained silent. I would never cheat in an exam, even if I was struggling so badly. Why would he accuse me of it now? The silence persisted until he muttered something about having special treatment and his son requiring the laptop. And before I could respond, he had picked it up and begun walking away. Now, all of this was done in a very quick and quiet movement. I couldn't react. I just sat in stunned silence. My work was gone and I had been in this exam for an hour. I wanted to break down and cry. This was all too much for me. Luckily, Mrs. D, the one who was in charge of the exams, quickly noticed my lack of a computer. Mrs. D was the one who gave me the computer in the first place, so she knew something was up. She told me to go with her as she took me outside where I explained everything. The lack of computers, Mr. M accusing me of cheating, being kicked out of the exam hall, and everything. She listened and then told me to stay there. I went off somewhere. From what I got told from a teacher who heard the commotion, being near Mr. M's classroom, Mrs. D had tore him a new one. She berated him for ruining my exam and stealing my property without any knowledge of my conditions. She eventually returned to me with the laptop and my memory drive. Luckily, he hadn't removed it, and gave me an extra time slip for 15 minutes. Luckily, I was able to get that exam completed, even though it left me a bit shaken up. I haven't seen Mr. M for the rest of the day, and I noticed his class was taken by a sub for his lesson. Turns out he's been confiscating work of others and giving it to his kids to hand in. Mr. M has been removed from the college and is not allowed to teach anywhere in my country's region or the regions nearby. His kids have also been expelled due to constant cheating. He's been replaced on the exam board by a very sweet lady who had watched over me in my media exam. I need an invigilator near me while working due to some of my issues. This happened years ago. I worked at UPS. It was run by a manager who was very quick in your orientation to let you know he was a former commander in Vietnam, and he ran this office just like he ran his troops in Vietnam. I was brought up to respect the military and didn't have any problem when I first heard this. The more time that went on, I felt sorry for the troops if he truly commanded any in Vietnam. It would be that time in between when trucks needed to be unloaded and we would commonly just stand around and talk, twiddling our thumbs when we were supposed to be cleaning. He would hide behind closed doors, sweating himself off, looking out small metal holes for hours at a time to try and catch us like this. I couldn't help but just see how pointless this had to be as a manager's time to sit sweating for hours so he could catch employees taking a break in between a truck after really busting themselves for hours. The union covered all workers whether you joined the union or not. I didn't join, but I still enjoyed the benefits of the union, which included overtime if you worked more than 4 hours in a day if you're part-time. There will also be rules such as if there was an overnight package delivery that was missed and a driver had to drive it to the airport so the package would not be late, The manager had to pick one of the union employees to get that route. Due to the nature of them being part-time and normally just unloading boxes, it meant that they would be paid at a different driver rate over time, so one trip could get a nice boost of pay from one trip to the airport. This manager didn't like that and would commonly take these trips himself when he was supposed to let other drivers that was union take these trips. Most of our overtime would come from the people who knew how to drive standards because at that point you will automatically volunteer to stay late after your shift to park these trucks for the next shift. Cue malicious compliance. Anytime the manager stole these drive-in routes, everyone parking the trucks would go to turtle speed and the job that would normally take 10 to 20 minutes would suddenly take about an hour or so. Once he was getting back, everyone would be finished up as a trip to the airport and back took about an hour. One time he must have had a side errand or something come up. I never found out why, but instead of 1 hour, the trip took about 3 hours. I just remember 5 or 6 young guys and a couple old guys walking around this lot pretending to look at our paper that showed where our trucks were and looking around dumbfounded as we turned a 10-minute job into a 3-hour one. When we got back and saw us still in a lot, he just started screaming and everyone's trucks were parked within about 3 minutes and we got out of there. There wasn't much he could do to punish us since he was breaking the rules and he already did everything he could to make our life there as tough as possible. That was the easiest 3 hours of overtime pay of my life for sure, and my biggest team effort of malicious compliance. I, 33, have 3 kids. My twin boys, John and Jack, 11, and my daughter Jane, 9. Fake names, of course. My boys always had a strong sibling bond. They are inseparable, have the same interests and hobbies, and are doing everything together. I love to see this, but it has a nasty side effect. Their little sister often gets left out by them. Sometimes they offered her to join them, but most of the time I had to remind them that they have a sister and should include her. They always claim that they don't like doing boring girl stuff with her. I encourage them to do the things she likes to and to switch between the stuff they like. But they refused to listen to me and started to shut out their sister completely. This has been going on for 3 months. I started withholding pocket money and family activities. My husband was hesitant at first, but I convinced them. Whenever the boys do something without Jane, I take her to the movies or to mini golf and boring girl stuff. It was hurtful to do these fun activities without my sons, but it's exactly what they do to their little sister. I tried to talk to them and to explain this, but they refused to listen to me. On the contrary, they started to be actively hostile towards their sister. They ridicule her hobbies, say mean stuff when she walks past them, and push her away when she tries to talk to them. Yesterday morning we sat at the Christmas tree and gave Jane her Christmas gifts. When the boys asked me for their gifts, I told them that we don't have any presents for them. They thought I was kidding at first, but when they realized that I was serious, they froze. I told them that they will get presents once they start to treat their sister like a family member. They didn't say anything and went to their room. They only come out when their dad forces them to eat something. I feel horrible. But at the same time, I'm so angry at my sons. My daughter is beyond sad. She asked me yesterday why her brothers hate her so much. My husband thinks I'm the jerk for playing favorites and thanked me for ruining Christmas. But I will not stand by and watch as Jane gets bullied by her own brothers. Am I the jerk? By the way, the comments here from male teenagers are exactly the reason why I want my sons to spend time with their sister. I don't want them to be like you. And now with some comments on the post. Someone saying, I'm not a male teenager. I'm a 65-year-old nana. And I think you've treated all of your children dreadfully. You'll be crying and sobbing in a few years' time wondering why your sons despise you and hate you so much. And have got no contact with both you and your obviously golden child daughter. 11-year-old boys don't want to play with 9-year-old girls, and why would they? Your daughter should have her own friends to play with as well as your sons. Plus, they are twins. Obviously, they will have a close bond with each other. What you did was cruel and unnecessary. Who on earth would buy one child Christmas presents and not the others? Your boys haven't been mean to your daughter, they just naturally to want to spend all their time with her. Unfortunately, you put it in your daughter's head that she's been treated badly by them. You've driven a huge wedge between the three of them that will possibly never be healed. Your husband has tried telling you you're wrong, and I bet others have done so as well. You've obviously not listened. Shame on you. You're a dreadful mother. I can't even bear to think how much you've spoiled, not only this Christmas for your sons, but also future ones. You are the jerk. Another commenter adds, you are the jerk. I, 41 female, have a 14-year-old son and 11-year-old daughter. Sometimes they play together, but mostly they don't. Your boys are pre-teens and your daughter is still very much in little kid age. I know this not only from my own kids, but I run several Cub Scout and Boy Scout groups. Their lack of interest in playing with her and her sadness about not being included is pretty normal. She needs to make friends outside of her brothers, not just for right now, but for the rest of her school years and life. Eventually, they will naturally discover that they have things in common again as late teens or adults. But possibly any chance of that is now destroyed by your actions. Yeah, they shouldn't be actively mean to her and should include her occasionally, but you need to grasp that you cannot force a relationship and you have created the hostility by continuously punishing them. Because now their sister is no longer an annoying little kid sister, she's the source of their continuous punishment from their mother. You've created a feedback loop and only will increase their dislike of their sister exponentially. If they try to include her now, all three kids will know it's forced, and only so they can get stuff. Teaching them to use people and your daughter that she should buy friendships and allow people to use her to get what they want. I am not sure where you got the idea for all of this, but especially Christmas, but damn, it's the opposite advice. You may not be able to recover from this and may have damaged any chance of relationship between them for the rest of their childhood. This was a hugely bad move. A third commenter goes with, so I'm a 29-year-old woman, not a male teenager. I definitely think you're the jerk here. I almost gasped aloud when I read this. Your whole family is upset and you can't seem to understand that it's because of you and not your sons. Of course, your 11-year-old boys are going to exclude their 9-year-old sister. They are entering the difficult preteen years, and playing with a 9-year-old girl is the ultimate uncool thing in their eyes. The more you try to push them, the more distance you'll create between them, and the more you'll make those boys resent their sister. You're hurting all three of your kids here. Also, to sum it up, you stole Christmas from two 11-year-old boys for behaving like typical boys of that age. Unless you left out some pretty crucial details about their actions, everything you described of them sounds pretty standard for boys who don't want to play with their little sister. Not at all the kind of behavior you punish by excluding them from getting Christmas gifts. You've given them a memory they will carry with them forever. And that's not something to be proud of. I hope you feel ashamed of yourself. Apologize to those kids and hold a do-over Christmas Day for them with actual presents. And that's it, folks. I hope these stories left you with something to ponder, or at least a good story to share with your friends. Remember, life is full of surprises and each day brings a new story. If you loved what you heard, give us a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your take on these stories. Stay tuned for more, and remember, keep spreading positivity and kindness wherever you go. Until next time, this is Crown signing off.